Blood of the Dawnwalker is made by former CD Projekt Red devs, set in a plague-ridden Gothic kingdom, has a day-night identity split, romance options, and an evil, overbearing ancient Roman vampire with way too many teeth who makes a very strong first impression. And yet somehow the most controversial thing about it is that it has a time mechanic. Now, I have loved vampires ever since Bram Stoker made me ask for a nightlight, a crucifix, and garlic with every single meal. But I've yet to find a vampire game that kind of fits that right mix. A game that can instill that kind of vampiric horror, but not lean all the way into making me piss myself. Or one that goes all the way in the other direction and kind of leans too much into contemporary settings, going into, t-shirts and jeans and sex clubs. The closest was probably Vampire, an underrated game in its own right that if you haven't tried it, it's well worth jumping into. But this year that might change with what's looking to be a potentially standout spectacular vampire RPG, Blood of the Dawnwalker. Blood of the Dawnwalker is the upcoming vampire RPG made by former CD Projekt Red devs that's looking a whole lot like Witcher 3 with vampires, but with some unique twists around how it plays, including blood hunger, intriguing, exciting vampire movement, and a day-night dynamic where by day you are a human, but by night you are a vampire. You will take on the role of Cohen, a half-human, half-vampire, known as the Dawnwalker in the plague-ridden Gothic kingdom of Vale Sangora, inspired by 14th century Europe. The human population is subjugated by Brensis, an ancient vampire who's taken your family. Because again, there's just a lot of people who are just assholes in these games. It's an RPG that will have a bit of a sense of urgency as well. Some actions, specific quests will advance a timer as you work to save your family from that old mean ancient Roman vampire Brensis. This handsome devil. I don't know why, but I don't think he'll have the same fan club as Asterion, because that's a bit more than a love bite. But I've been surprised before. We've actually seen quite a bit of Blood of the Dawnwalker over the last year or so, with lots of different dev streams and interviews, many of which include pretty incredible cinematography, not just of the game, but like actual set pieces, as well as like fantastic music for the game. We've seen plenty of gameplay demonstrations, everything from their directional combat, including the use of magic in that combat, to drinking blood of the unsuspecting victims, who can be a bit, well, they can be a bit crude.
Like this drunkard.
Combat, like movement, is split between two distinct areas of the game, day and night. Covering the daytime first because, quite honestly, it looked best. It's a bit like Witcher 3 and KCD had a baby, as you'll be doing third-person combat that's enhanced through magic, just like the Witcher 3 sigils, but adding in directional combat like KCD. Something I am personally absolute shit at. But the devs assured me specifically, just me and my terrible gameplay skills, that you will be able still to play this game for the story if you're ass. If you're absolute ass at the game. But still, if you want a challenge, there will be the ability to take on the challenge. You'll be using directional aiming both when defending, parrying, as well as attacking, though it seems pretty obvious when and how to do this in the combat we've seen. Big overhead swing as indicated by the shield icon here, the arrow, and the giant, overhead swing animation from the enemy, which is it's kind of coming in kind of slow. All things considered, at least when being attacked by 3 different enemies. Parrying and attacking from the right direction will be useful as it fills in your activation abilities, letting you throw pocket sand at your enemies. Cohen will carve runes into his skin to use magic during the daytime, but won't be able to at night as a vampire. I guess there's just a little bit of performance anxiety when you're dealing with bloodthirst and sucking. But essentially what it comes down to is this idea that you're carving the runes in your skin, and as a vampire you have this healing ability, right? So you can't really have these wounds in your skin because you're healing them. That's generally the way that they explained it anyway. And that brings us to vampire combat, which actually, honestly, completely honestly, looked a bit worse. What we saw was a very short little bit of you getting your ass kicked, and I came away unimpressed. In vampiric form, you can use your claws, and the visual of it just looks quite a bit worse, a little bit less polished. And even the swordplay from before needed polish, but still, it just something felt off. But the bigger concern came from the actual boss fight itself, which, for lack of a better word for it, looked very dull. I think this is in part because they chose this time to showcase that you can make dumb mistakes and go fight things you shouldn't be fighting yet. But it also showcased a rather dull looking blood whip attack and what seemed to be a lack of recoil from attacks, perhaps due to the shielding on the boss, because again, the boss is like a much more powerful thing than you should be fighting at this time, and you chose to go to this cathedral at night and thus made a mistake that ended up with you going, well, pop and into like a fine mist of blood.
Blood skill that you've seen in the CGI trailer. So if we don't hurry, the timer goes down to 0 and Cohen will eventually explode. And we're dead. Remember, we were only mid-game here, and Xanthi is one of the game's most punishing enemies. Defeating her right here and right now is very much possible, but it would be hellishly difficult. A fun challenge for hardcore players.
And it was mentioned that you can use a sword as a vampire too. So maybe if you don't like the claws, you can go wield a sword. Why did I struggle to remember that word? It's also been confirmed that there will be romance option in this game, to the joy of many. After all, these are former CD Projekt Red devs, so even if this isn't CD Projekt Red, there is still a certain expectation here, although there's still no word yet if there will be a Cohen bathtub scene with this game. The game will include 3 romance options, which will have implication on Cohen's personal story. So yes, you can bang. It sounds like they're going to be going for more of a deeply personal thing with these romances, rather than some huge narrative plot point, as it was mentioned that not only are there 3 options, but those options are completely optional. And just as a reminder to everybody, optional means you don't have to do it, and you don't have to go cry on Twitter. Just throwing that out there. But it's okay that options exist. But all those romance options might actually make the controversial time mechanic feel a little bit more controversial. So let's actually talk about that a little bit, because I think when you learn a little bit more about it, it might take the bite out of it a little bit more. That was a stupid pun, I apologize, but it's still, I think, gonna be an issue for some people, but at least we can talk a little bit about how it works and how it doesn't work. This is not a ticking clock that is going to be going on at all times. This will only advance from specific actions like those quests or missions. Specifically, from a write-up from thegamer.com, there are 8 segments per 24 hours that only advance when you progress through specific missions, and the game will inform you how many of those segments it will take to complete a mission successfully. Some of the examples given were like one mission might take 2, or one mission might take 1 segment to complete. And this was somewhere in the middle of the game, so potentially those could take longer segments later on. It's also been confirmed that you can actually play through the entire game only during the day as a human or at night as a vampire, giving more options, though that's obviously not how it's intended to be played. The mechanic might still give people some pause though, but at least you're not going to be Keanu Reeves on a speeding bus or something. This is obviously still a core mechanic to the game, and I understand why some people may hesitate with this, but at least it's not like something that's going to be like always there, just like constant like threats of making you feel like you can't play the game at your own pace. You will still have autonomy in how you want to play. The way that I think about it is it's just like a kind of idea of like the same kind of concept of when you do certain missions in other RPGs, it will advance the story. There's just more of them seemingly in this game. Like, you know, when you advance from Act 1 to Act 2 in, say, Baldur's Gate 3. So we've talked about combat, we've talked about movement, we've talked about time, but what about the actual sucking? Which, if this wasn't a video about vampires, that would be a really weird transition, but we're talking about blood sucking. You can suck the blood of humans, animals, or even vampires. They didn't say exactly what kind of things happen if you suck the blood of vampires, but it seems like humans are the most satiating source. because we're just so fucking tasty, I guess. And you'll be given the option of drinking just a teeny bit of blood or sucking them dry. Fucking hell, it does sound sexual, doesn't it? If you take every last bit of blood, helpfully indicated by the big ass skull on their blood bar, you kill them. Or you can choose to simply knock them out. These choices can go out of your control though, so there's a good reason to keep yourself well stocked with your favorite bloody juice box, because not drinking enough can send you into a blood craze, which they've warned could cause you to murder people you otherwise wouldn't want to. One other little tidbit in this that I really liked was getting to see another race in the world called the Uriash, a devilish goat-like looking creature that adds a touch more fantasy to the world beyond its vampiric horror vibes. I don't know about you, but it made me curious as hell to know more about them. And in some like concept art that we saw earlier and in the reveals, we learned that these people, the Uriash, are from like the higher mountainous regions. Now this last thing that I want to highlight here though, of the actual gameplay, I'm just gonna give you a quick clip of, because it's all about the performance and the acting that we saw in the game, because it looks fantastic. And this is something really super important to me. To make like a personal connection with an RPG, the writing, the dialogue, the performance, the voice acting, all of that stuff is super important to me. So seeing this little tidbit here has me really hopeful that this game will deliver. Just take a look and a listen.
Don't I know you from somewhere, young man? Laslia, maybe?
I'm sorry, but you must be mistaken.
Am I? Perhaps. Perhaps. My memory isn't what it used to be. Come with me. I'll take your confession.
Thank you, but I have no need for confession.
Ah, so you deem your conscience clear?
I wouldn't go that far. But I'm sure you're a busy man, Father. So while I appreciate the offer, I feel that my soul shouldn't be your priority.
I won't press the matter. You are quite correct. I have many other duties to attend to. But please remember that in order to be saved, we all need to repent. Myself included. I hope we can speak again soon. Good day to you, Cohen.
Blood of the Dawnwalker will be releasing in 2026 on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series XS. I personally can't wait for this game. I know a lot of you are in the same boat as me. I hope it's going to be great. And I just wanted to get on here and share that joy with you a little bit. My name is Redbird Flynn. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day or night, I guess, because this is vampires. I don't know. Thank you so much. Talk to you later.